Greetings, mercenary. What can I do for you?
I have some questions I'd like to ask you. Do you have any idea about what's happening to me?
I'm afraid I may not be able to help you. Your condition is more due to magic than medicine. Your symptoms remind me of certain mental illnesses, where the subject has the impression he hears voices in his head.
And do these nutcases throw fire and have eyes that burn from within too?
You'd be surprised at what they can do. But obviously you're not like them. That being the case, if you study them, you might find some answers. In particular, I'm thinking of the fact that most of these poor madmen end up giving free rein to the darkest side of their personalities. Make sure that doesn't happen to you.
Who's the big snoring elf?
Show some respect, please. That's Prince Arundel.
And?
He's the son of the Elven King, leader of the last army standing against the Deadwalkers.
Yeah, okay. But he doesn't exactly look like he's ready to stand against anything just now. What's wrong with him?
From what I've been told, Relmar brought him here before we arrived. The prince and his men fell in an ambush. Without your friend, he wouldn't have made it out. Unfortunately, he was severely wounded and has probably been the victim of powerful magic. I'm trying to find a cure, but without much success for the moment.
I'll be going now. Sybil, can I talk to you?
Yes?
I'd like to ask you a few questions.
What do you want to know?
So Alas is your father?
Yes. And yes, he is the leader of the Red Scribes.
That's handy for you.
You are so predictable. Daddy's little girl can do whatever she wants, right? Don't fool yourself. I'm endlessly having to prove myself more than any other scribe. My father doesn't treat me better than the others, and I expect no less from him.
At least that explains why you look like you just stepped out of a library. I guess he encourages you?
Yes, of course. But I'm big enough to make my own choices. Knowledge fascinates me, and I suppose it would have been like that whoever my father was.
Can you tell me more about your order?
Of course. The Red Scribes are an order of sages. Our quest is to find the answers to all the great mysteries of this world.
And so you know about magic?
We study magic from an essentially theoretical viewpoint, but we're not an order of magicians. Even though some of us practice healing magic, but we have nothing to do with the destructive power magic used by the Lords of the Frozen Shadows, and we know very little about that domain, unfortunately.
I see. But that doesn't mean you can't research it, huh?
Obviously, especially now. Any knowledge which would help us turn this war around would be helpful. But according to our archives, we were already studying magic more than 5 centuries ago.
Oh, really? What do you know about the Ice Lords?
As much as it is possible to know without having met them. In some ways, they're quite fascinating, even though the term might seem inappropriate.
Perfect. How do we kill him?
If I knew that, do you think I would keep it to myself? But I can tell you this, we do believe it's possible. We know that there are 7 lords: Black Storm, Lady Crystal, Marshal Winters, the White Lady, Lord Blackfrost, the Chiller, and the Ice Duchess.
Everybody knows that. We've had our asses kicked by them enough.
For sure. But in the past, there were more of them. Some scrolls talk of 9 or a dozen, even of 30 lords. Of course it's confusing, and I doubt they would have freely given the information of how to kill one of them. But you can bet that some of them have died. We just have to discover how.
Where did they come from?
Most people believe that the lords appeared recently, at the beginning of the war. But I have found certain scrolls that lead me to believe they have been around more than 300 years. They are originally from a region far to the north of Vertiel. For a long time, they remained there. The beginning of their conquest is quite recent. We all think that the war started 10 years ago, but in fact, it is much longer. maybe even the last century. It took them a long time to escape from their region of origin. The dwarf kingdoms were in their way, and they put up a fight.
You had me going there for a moment. I'm sorry, but dwarves? Save it for the children.
But you're wrong. The dwarves did exist, but the Ice Lords exterminated them.
Right. And I bet they also massacred all those poor dragons and goblins.
You know that dragons and goblins don't exist. You're impossible.
Do they have any weaknesses that we could exploit?
Not that I know of. All of the Ice Lords are powerful sorcerers. They are far more powerful than all the other magicians. They have an unlimited army. If they have a weakness, it's not that.
But in spite of all of this, you think there is something?
I do. We often imagine the Ice Lords as a vast megalithic power. But that's not true. In fact, they desperately hunger for power. Just because they pooled their powers to create the Deadwalker army doesn't mean they like each other. Their balance of power is precarious. As soon as they are done with destroying Vertial, they'll probably start killing each other.
Sure, but that doesn't help us much if we have to wait until they're done.
Perhaps there is a way to stir up the tensions between them, even if for the moment, I can't think how.
Let's change the subject. Do you know what happened to me in the temple?
I'm still searching for an explanation. Something must have gone wrong during the ritual.
But what was the god's damn ritual supposed to do?
The Red Scribes have always had quite limited magical skills. I believe that the ritual was meant to increase their magical powers to try and find a way of combating the Ice Lords. But instead of channeling pure energy into each of the scribes, the ritual called forth a conscience that settled in you.
Your father called it a demon. How come I got stuck with it?
A demon? That reminds me of the old texts, but I couldn't say if that's what it is. You were standing right there, so that force flowed into you. It could have been my father, or any of us, I guess.
Well, that's just great. What do I do now?
I would dearly like to help you. But even though I have searched through all the texts I have here, I can find no reference to anything like this experience of yours, at least for now. But until we have found out more, you must try to fight against this thing. Do not allow it to get comfortable. We don't know what its intentions are or how powerful it is. It could be dangerous for you.
What can you tell me about the World Heart?
Many of the people on Vertial believe that the World Heart is just a myth. There are many different beliefs from one region to another, but most of them have more in common than not.
The World Heart is where life and prosperity are born. I've already heard that crap.
If we were to imagine Vertial as a living being, the World Heart is exactly what it sounds like, the heart of the world. It's what keeps the world alive. It beats, and Vertial lives from its energy. If you wish, I can try to learn more about it. Come back and see me in a few days.
So then, any result from the study of all these creatures of the swamps?
Well, I'd really like to meet some of these creatures who live here. But for now...
See you later.
Mr. Vulcan, what brings you here?
The captain wants me to help your village. You got a job I can do?
With our shortages of food and fighting men, our worn-out equipment and the growing lines at the healing house, I cannot deny our village is sorely in need of help. Sadly, I fear that these are not the sort of problems you are used to dealing with, unless I'm much mistaken.
Maybe I'll surprise you. So what's the problem with the healing house?
Quite simply, Mirana cannot keep up. She spends every waking minute giving out supplies to the refugees and refuses to admit that she cannot help everyone. She thinks she's fooling me. I have heard rumors that her food stock is running low. Unsurprisingly, the crowds outside are becoming restless. I believe they wish to continue handing out our food reserves as though they were unlimited. This is not the case, and thus, it is not an option.
So, you want someone to put her down?
Why, I never suggested any such thing. I just wish she would see reason, for all our sakes. But I have asked nothing of you. I was merely answering your question.
Your guards... How can I put this? At first, I thought they were disobeying orders. Now I think maybe they don't even understand them. If you're stupid and incompetent, you should be digging turnips, not taking care of security.
You're beginning to worry me. Is it really that bad?
Are you kidding me? The state of their weapons is enough to make you cry. Maybe they'd be good for splitting logs.
Personally, I'm not capable of judging the aptitude of our sentries, but their poor results speak for themselves. Doubtless, you should share your observations with Mason, the chief of the watch. I should warn you, however, that he is of a somewhat stubborn nature.
Wouldn't be the first I've seen. I need the reports about this beast that attacked the villagers.
I fear I am unable to be of help. I'm still not entirely convinced that it even exists. All I know is that several villagers have vanished. One villager is at present in the doctor's care, following a supposed encounter with the said beast. These swamps are crawling with dangers. There is nothing to suggest anything out of the ordinary. The refugees are always inventing horror stories in an attempt to force us to open our gates and let them inside.
It might be worth checking it out. You said you lost one of your patrols, right?
That is so. You should speak with Randval. He was most anxious to go out and hunt the beast down, but we needed him here. Now that we have more able bodies to guard our gates, I imagine he would be keen to pick up the scent once more.
We'll talk again later.
The Order of the Freeborn Blades is of great repute, and the mercenary does honor to its name. The mercenary's powers are both astonishing and fascinating. The knight would like to duel with the mercenary, that he may judge the mercenary's strength.
Sure, I can never turn down a good fight. But maybe we should take it outside if we don't want to break everything in here.
The knight is honored, and bows to his adversary's wisdom.
Relmar, wait for me here. I'll only be a moment.
Knight hopes that his adversary will not hold back his blows.
Oh, you can count on it.
adversary with such power, and he believes that he could be that which is needed to change the course of this war.
You fight pretty good yourself. Where did you learn your moves? Can't believe you learned to fight like that in this backwater.
The knight has traveled far and fought many battles. He has only lived in this village for a short time.
What are you doing in the middle of these swamps when you could be making a difference on the battlefield?
The knight has fought a great many battles, but he feels he can be more useful protecting those who have nothing left.
I have to go. I'm glad we could test each other's mettle. It was fun.
Before his adversary rushes off to fight other battles, the knight has a question for him. He wishes to know if the freeborn blades would like him to join them.
I'm not the one who decides who joins the company, but I can ask the captain for you.
He has thought long on it and wishes it would be so.
Well, that's great. I'll ask him, but I can't promise you anything.
You must help me. The prince is dying.
Well, I'm happy to see that my talents as a doctor are finally being recognized.
There's no doubt an explosion would cure him of all his ills forever. But I was actually thinking about your connections with the Red Scribes. If you could speak to them, it would save me having the prince's death on my conscience.
I wouldn't exactly call myself a friend of theirs. But yeah, I can always give it a try. So is the prince doing any better?
He is still in a coma. He doesn't seem much better, no.
I'm going to talk with the Red Scribes, Doctor. He might know of a cure.
Thank you.
Let's change the subject. I have a few questions I need to ask you. Who is the elf in the healing house? Is he really your prince?
He is Prince Arundel, the son of our king and heir to the Elven crown. Therefore, yes, he is our king.
How the hell did he end up here?
Prince Arundel led a detachment of the Elven army sent to harass the Deadwalkers. And when he reached Bastion, he fell into an ambush. I got wind of this trap, but by the time I arrived, it was too late. When I caught up to the prince, he was already wounded, and most of his soldiers were dead. Those who survived covered our retreat.
To here?
Yes. The route to Carolthas was too dangerous. I knew about this village and felt that it would be secure for at least a little while. As soon as he gets better, we shall leave for Carolthas. The remainder of the human and elven armies are gathering there. That is where the final stage of the war will be played out.
Let's change the subject. I'll leave you here. Do you have any idea how to wake the elf prince up?
Unfortunately, I don't. I think I've tried just about every remedy I know, but nothing works.
He looks pretty solid. Sleep will bring his strength back, and he may end up waking on his own.
Let's hope so. But to be honest, I'm worried about his condition.
I'm not going to sit here and do nothing while we wait to see if he's going to wake up or not. There has to be something we can do.
Well, there is a formula I haven't tried yet because it's very complex, and I'm missing a key ingredient.
What do you need?
A very virulent poison secreted by the chrysalid queen. But be careful you don't mix them up with the ones you usually see. I wanted to go looking for them myself, but the villagers stopped me. They say they're really dangerous. It seems they can be found along the road we took to get here. And apparently, they only come out at night.
I'll get you some. I'll be going now. Relmar, you got a minute?
Yes?
I need your expertise. Will you come with me?
Of course I will. Lead the way.
My goodness, let's see. You're not pissing blood, you're not vomiting your guts out. Both legs are in place and they seem to be holding you upright. Congratulations. It looks like you'll pull through. And now you'll excuse me, but I have other miracles to accomplish, and not much time to devote to people in your condition.
I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I'd like to speak with you.
Are you wounded?
No.
Are you a refugee dying of starvation?
Hey, I'm a mercenary. We're always hungry.
Why don't you go roast a Chris alien and come back and see me when you're twisted in pain? Haven't you anything better to do than bother me?
Hang on a sec. The steward himself sent me here to give you a hand.
Wonderful. I've been after him for months to get me some help, and he sends me an armed ape. You practice medicine, I presume? Your tools seem rather barbaric.
The tools are fine. That's not to say I don't get a little barbaric sometimes.
Only sometimes.
Believe me, I've already used them to do a little surgery on a few evil tongues, and nobody ever complained once.
We're here to help her, not intimidate her.
For the moment, you're not doing either.
For someone with so much to do, you sure do talk a lot. So let's get this figured out, because I've got some shit to do too. Either you need help and you want me to handle it, or you don't and you deal with it yourself.
Well then, I suppose I have nothing to lose. In fact, there is something that you could doubtless do for me. I'm worried about my assistant Haymond. I haven't seen him for a while now, and I fear he might have gone into the swamps to look for the plants I need. We're forced to venture further and further in to find the plants we need. With all that's been going on lately, I forbade him from going back out alone, but the boy is nothing if not stubborn.
Stubborn? Yeah, I hate people like that.
Please find him. He's a good boy. He's done nothing but help others since he arrived. Without him, the House of Healing would be a house of death.
If I'm gonna be slogging through the swamps anyway, might as well take a look around and try to bring back the plants you need too, right? You got any drawings or descriptions?
Yes, that's a good idea. I would be grateful to you, but above all, try to bring back my assistant Haymond in one piece. He is your priority. For the rest, basically, I need food, medicinal herbs, and of course, I wouldn't say no to a few pre-prepared potions. All of our stock seems to disappear so quickly. I'll give you the parchment that I made for Haymond to help you recognize the specimens I need. He knows them by heart now, after so many trips.
Right. Plants, potions, chow, and one assistant. If I come across any elven tea, would you like a cup of that too?
That would be lovely.
I'd like some information about the village and its inhabitants. So what do you think of the steward?
Oh, don't get me started on that.
Too late if you ask me.
If I were you, I'd be wary of him. He is not as honorable as he would have you believe. Know that before the war, he was just a lackey, bowing and scraping before all the people of power that passed by. Due to a superior's mistake, he thinks he's in charge now. He's a latecomer, nothing but an opportunist, ready to do anything to keep his little piece of power. I've had the misfortune of experiencing his sense of priorities. When he no longer has a use for you, he lets you know you're not welcome.
I can't say I disagree with you there. This asshole treats everybody like his personal slaves.
For the moment, he treats you well because you serve his needs. This might not always be true, and then your lives will be threatened.
He'd go that far?
I didn't found the House of Healing alone. It was with my husband, Ron. He was not a great warrior, nor a renowned strategist. His only gift was for healing. He was my teacher before becoming my husband. The steward welcomed us with open arms. We took care of his men, his villagers. Then the refugees started arriving in greater numbers. Too many for Chambriad, who ended up closing the gates and pretending that these people simply didn't exist. Ron was furious. He tried to make him understand that he would heal everyone, no matter what. And if the self-proclaimed leader of the village wasn't capable of taking care of anyone other than himself, that he would do it. A few days later, I came back from the swamps to discover Ron in agony in the healing house. He had been poisoned.
You think this was the work of the steward?
Who else would have reason to kill him? Everyone loved him and counted on him. Chambriad thought that without him, the healing house would close and that the number of refugees would diminish naturally. Unfortunately for him, I will continue my husband's good work even unto my dying breath. He gave me an even greater reason to keep going.
This healing house is a waste of time and resources. These people are but dead weight.
Who are these refugees you're helping?
They are the outcasts of the war. Those who didn't have the privilege of dying in combat or who lack knowledge of the arts of the forge. No one wants them. If I don't help them, nobody will.
You're doing the right thing. Taking care of them is good for everybody's morale. The ones who do the fighting want to know they aren't doing it for nothing, and that their people won't be abandoned while they're gone.
That is far from the only reason. But I'm very happy to hear you say it.
What did you do before the war?
Before the war? Please don't tell me you're naive enough to believe that this war only started 10 years ago.
That's what everybody says.
I come from Shorelin, a faraway land in the north that the Ice Lords probably wiped off the map some time ago. Because no one is left to write the history books, other than a fanatical cult more interested in arcane magic than in human science or medicine. The fact remains that the war is far more ancient than that. For as long as I can remember, I have always known war. I was only just learning to walk when Marshal Winters invaded my homeland.
I have heard of this Ice Lord. Winters the Bloodthirsty.
I wandered along the main roads for years, always heading further south, staying just ahead of the advancing Deadwalkers. First with my sister and a family of neighbors. Then just with my sister. Then all alone. Until the day I met the man who would become my husband. A remarkable elf who taught me how to heal and how to love and help those near me. But after years of fleeing and ending up here in this isolated village so in need of healers, we decided to put down roots. Roan died 8 months ago, leaving me alone and in charge of the House of Healing that we had built together.
Have you heard any rumors about a beast wandering around in the marshes?
They are not rumors. There is something in these marshes, and I have a patient in a coma that confirms it.
Something? What does that mean? Where can I find it?
I don't know exactly what it is. The wounds don't resemble anything seen around here before. What you seek is large, powerful, and obviously has enormous claws at its disposal. The wounded man was found west of the swamps, crawling towards the village. If you really wish to fall upon that beast, that would be a good place to start. But bear in mind the possibility that it may be the beast which falls upon you.
I'll take my leave. See you later.
Yeah, who are are you? One of them fucking mercenaries, right?
Fucking mercenary, yeah. Sounds about right.
You know what I call your lot? Ore blades. I got no time for ores.
We're all in the same boat. Mercenaries, refugees, useless guards. We're all fighting the Deadwalkers.
You mean until the Ice Lords make you a better offer, get lost, ore blade? Stupid wreck. Do I have to spill it out, or should I just put my boot in your arse? Clear off!
Would you just shut your stupid mouth for 2 seconds, please? The steward sent me here to help you.
Oh, that's all I need. Don't he think I got enough on my plate? Now he sends me some ore blade from God's nowhere. Hey, as long as it ain't me is paying for you, eh? You want to help? Knock yourself out. I warn you, there's plenty to do.
Get to the point before I set your breath on fire.
All right, take it easy. No need to get nasty, eh? You want to help? Yes or no?
Keep talking.
Well, for a start, you could try and find one of my patrols that's gone missing. At first, I thought maybe one of those half-wits was sleeping it off under a tree somewhere. But it's been a while now. Maybe something bad happened to him in the swamp.
I guess I could go back and check.
What a coincidence. That's exactly what I was going to ask you. After that, well, I suppose a pro like you, I guess you would be useful helping out the sentries. It won't be luxury. I don't know if you've seen what we're supposed to fight with, but wow, if you can have a word with your quartermaster to see what he can do for my lads, you have my blessing. The benediction of a drunk. Better and better.
It's what all us fucking mercenaries dream of. All right, I'll see what I can do.
Right, we may be living in the arsehole of Virgil, but being armed like a bunch of tramps we can do without. And while you're at it, when you've been to the forge, you'll probably feel like letting off steam a bit. Why don't you go and take it out on my lads?
What do you mean?
Kick their arses so they can't sit down and get drunk instead of patrolling. And show them a couple of tricks while you're at it. A bit of training. Couldn't do no harm.
Your men can't afford to keep their thumbs in their asses. It's time to teach them how to use those weapons.
Knock yourself out, petty blade. I'll go and shake them awake. Done better. I reckon the lesson is gonna leave a few marks this time. Have you got time to go again, while they're still warmed up?
Why not? Let's go.
progress. If you whack them enough times, they remember how to defend themselves. Are you up for giving them one last lesson?
One last lesson.
Nice job. Of course, they'll hate you for a while, but what they learned here today will save their lives one day.
My pleasure. I like this way of saving lives.
These people are amateurs. This village is about as secure as your granny's underwear. Not a single watchman at his post. It's worse than I'd imagined.
I'll deal with this, Captain.
Good. I'm counting on you. Remember, if you screw this up, we'll all be joining the ranks of the Dead Walker army as soon as their scouts find this place.
Captain, just fought a duel with Ranvil, the guardian of the village. And before you start yelling about wasted energy, I want you to know that it was him that insisted on it. He's one hell of a fighter. He hits you like he was chopping down a tree, and he can take a blow and shake it off. He wants to join the Blades.
I have the feeling that every new recruit I take on these days is headed straight for the cemetery. But considering the losses we've suffered, I suppose I can't refuse. Bring him here to me. I'll check him out.
The villagers told me about a beast. I have to find its lair.
Hawk talked to me about that a while ago. He said he'd found some suspicious-looking tracks that led back to the northern swamps.
I'll go and follow the tracks. Where's Hawk?
No idea. I sent him off to scout that part of the swamp, but he hasn't reported back yet.
The villagers told me about a beast. I have to find its lair.
Hawk talked to me about that a while ago. He said he'd found some suspicious-looking tracks that led back to the northern swamp.
I'll go and follow the track.
No idea. I sent him off to scout that part of the swamp, but he hasn't reported back yet.
I'm leaving.